Welcome back to Tennis Manager 25, episode number 8. We're at the end of the season. I've pushed forward just a little bit, a couple weeks at least, to get a lot of the end of season messages in. So we did complete our goals regarding sponsorship, 20 tournaments primarily. There was some ranking ones over the later portion of the season. We brought in about 80K. On the annual finance report, the equipment suppliers, those sponsors, 70K is what we actually earned over the course of the year. So not sure what happened with the last 10K on that. Last year's board injection was 273,000. Tournaments for the entirety of the year was just 18K, which is why we really can't rely on that as a primary source of income anytime soon. Not until we've got somebody good enough to be in the seniors and winning. And we might stick around with Uni for a while and kind of see out what her potential is, as she should at least be able to make the seniors and be semi-competitive and help us earn 75K, 100K a month or a year. I don't know. But staff is costing us 225K, so just about $250,000 a year. A lot of the other expenses is hard to pinpoint when we built facilities over the course of the year, and that's added into that one. Final period reports, Uni dropped 5 spots in the rankings despite a pretty decent period. She had 7 wins in 5 tournaments. 58% win rate, though, is not fantastic, and so it did see her slip just a little bit further down, finishing at 117, which she wasn't overly thrilled about. Tadaway did finish on a slight ascendancy. She got up to 300 in the end, 19 points won in that final period, 6 wins from 11. So she did get above 500 in the last couple of stretches. I think at the end of the year, though, she might have still been just shy. She was 22 and 25 for the entire year, but she definitely went the right direction after that terrible start. I mean, she was 1-9 at the start of the season. From that point on, we're talking about 21-16, so she definitely finished much stronger than she started. Gutierrez wasn't much of a trainer, but he has retired now, so we do have a hole in our staff. We're probably going to look to fill that and maybe get somebody a level higher. The U.S. took the men's title. Now they're 34th, but the Czech Republic won the women's title. They're 12th. Romania and Australia taking the juniors titles, so a little bit of a rare year for the U.S. to only have 1 title, where most of the time it's 2 or 3 out of the 4. Sinner, Sabalenka, Thomas, and Jones were the top players in the respective ranks, and we've just received our board contribution for the coming year, $288,000, so it's 10K better than a year ago. Is that because we've done a little more business, top to bottom, brought in a little more revenue, so they inject a little more? It'd be nice if that scales up a little bit over time and gets a little higher year by year. But I've already set sports goals for the coming season with Uni and Tadaway. Tadaway just wants to maintain her new ranking. Again, we have a class of graduating juniors who have moved on to seniors. In the case of Uni, that was 60 players above her, so she's moved up to 57th in the rankings now. For Tadaway, that's 121 juniors who have aged out, and that brings her up to 179. Tadaway's goal, maintain. Stay at her new rank of 179. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I think she wants to be top 10 in Japan for the youth ranks, which she's a few spots short of that right now. But we can probably manage that. I'd hope. I would hope. We know that her progression track is a little on the slow side, though. So going upward could be challenging. But if I put her in the right tournaments for her skill set, I think we can score her some points better than some of the others might do. And so I think we might be able to maintain that. Just as we kind of did with Uni this last year, where we settled into a tournament level that saw her be fairly successful. It certainly helped. But we never did see Uni climb. But the same thing, the progression track, right? We swapped trainers. This year, I think we'll be swapping back. But I do need to do an analysis and kind of see where the two of them are at. But we'll probably swap back and go back to controlling Uni for the majority of the coming season. But for Uni wants to finish in the top 50. It's a little bit higher than we're at right now, but not much. But forward progress seems a little challenging with Uni. We're going to have to pick carefully on what sort of like sets of tournaments to get into. Uni should start being able to play in those junior majors. It's just, not sure how competitive she will be. So at the end of the first year, we got to a 1.5 star reputation. Well, we maintained that this last year, but we didn't see as many upgrades, and the finances weren't great because we did do a mixture of financial upgrades and that youth and scouting center upgrade. We have that tier 2. We never did get a class for last year, so very, very, very much fingers crossed that we will get one this December and that we haven't encountered something else. Let's not go there. But down on the ratings, which I know the last of those is covered by the face cam, we're at 1.5 star for training, but the key thing, level 1.5. We were level 1.3, so that has risen. Our training's a little bit bigger, better, stronger. But then the medical, level 1.4, that originally was like 1.2, but it stayed at 1.4 all last year. Scouting has taken a pretty healthy jump, though. It's gone from 1 star to 1.5, and it's gone from a 1.4 up to a 1.8. That's that scouting center, the youth academy portion that we upgraded this year. Definitely took a pretty healthy jump on the rating for that scouting department. The business one behind the face cam remains at 1 star. It is up to 1.5 though. It was the lowest. I think it was a 1.1. So the levels aren't great, but they're coming along. They're coming along. 1.5 is not kind of automatically a given. You don't start at 1. There's a lot of facilities that do start at 0. So we've got a lot of level 1s. We've got a few level 2s. I mean, we are getting somewhere with all of that. I don't remember what Idzagi's final day was with us, but it was pretty late in the season, and I would estimate that it was somewhere around week 40-ish, give or take, possibly a little earlier than that. But anyway, in terms of his performances, he failed. There is a week 44, and actually a week 38, where he did pull some victories. So he might have had 2 victories and about 3 losses to wrap up the season, which was better than what he was doing with us. So we set him free. 5-20 was where he finished the year, though. Probably our next 3 upgrades, besides maybe a cheap one in the youth and scouting center, where we can just get the bonus for 35K and develop our youth a little bit faster. Anyway, outside of that, everything else for the next little while needs to come out of the business center. We've got probably 3 lined up that will all increase that monthly turnover just a bit. The first of which is the stores. 15K increase with a 5K offset, so 10K overall. We are barely picking up above minimum, which means we should be getting about 5K, and that barely above minimum actually is verified right over here on the left-hand side of the screen. So there is an extra section here where it shows us what the minimum and maximum monthly incomes are. We could be earning 133K a month right now. We could be earning 60K more than we are if we had better staff. But without the facilities, we can't hire the better staff. The better staff, the better athletes, all of those play. Revenue is impacted, it does show you. So players fame, well, we don't have anybody famous. Players rankings, we don't have anybody high up. Filling rate, an empty or underfilled team is nonsense for an academy. So actually filling out the roster, bringing more athletes in, actually will have an impact on that business center. But the minimum, 73.3. We're only 5K above that, so we are just inching our way, and the other facilities are all similar on that one. Really makes it hard to turn much of a profit when we are just so inferior that we are earning kind of the bare minimum possible. This is Luna Vujovic, Serbian 17-year-old. She was 17th in the rankings at the end of last season. Now, with a class, moving up into the seniors, she's climbed just inside the top 10 at 8th in the junior rankings to start the new year. She is a 3-star current, a 4.5-star potential. Now, she has no bearing on our team. We are not able to sign players like this, plus the restriction of the series anyway. This is all a Youth Academy challenge. Everybody's got to come through our Youth Academy, which is hopefully going to be functioning soon with another class coming in. The reason why I'm showing you Vujovic here is the comparison. Now that Uni is starting to climb a little bit higher in those junior rankings, what does it take to be a top junior? Well, this would be a good example, right? It's not your number one. It's not your most dominant junior, but it's somebody who's quite competitive. It's somebody who's going to have plenty of success, is going to win some of those higher level tournaments. She's got a 67% win rate, which at times we're getting there, but just at much, much lower junior levels, we're starting to win at that sort of percentage. We're going to move up those ranks this year with that graduating class. Uni's not going to be playing in the 100s. I think at the very least we'll try the 200s, maybe higher from there. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, her physicals, 13s, is about her average. That's pretty close to where Uni is at. We're going to have to take a look, but I do remember Uni being somewhere around the 12 to 13 range because we developed that pretty well in that first year. So, physical, yeah, we're on track. We're on par for where we need to be. Mental, same sort of track. We're looking at about 13s here. The composure, killer instinct, and fighting spirit are the ones you do not train. Those are the ones that do develop naturally. I don't think Uni quite got that far on this build. When we did the very, very first build and encountered that bug, we went more the mental side because the physical wasn't developing as well, and the mental side really didn't help us win. So second time around, when we went more physical, the success was there, so that was more the focus. But the mental side was not far behind. I think it was about 11s. Maybe it got to 12s last season. But again, fairly comparable, and if we are swapping back on the training, you would figure that Uni is going to easily eclipse that 13 physical and eclipse that in the mental as well, or at least catch up on that very soon, or very early in the year. Meaning, mentally and physically, Uni is where she needs to be in the upper echelons of the junior rankings. It's the technical where we're still lagging behind. Remember, we actually did make progress with this last year. That was our focus. But with a weaker trainer all last season, the progress was fairly limited. We were 5s and 6s. I think now it's 7s and 8s, maybe just more solid 8s. Did we get that far? It's definitely not where Vujovic is. Now, Vujovic is not averaging a 13. There are some 13s, her best skills. But they go all the way down to a 9 on her serve power. That's one isolated number, but there's quite a few 10s. There's plenty of not 13s. So this is more of an 11-ish average on that set of numbers. We're not that far off, but if we're averaging about an 8, we're definitely a few points below where we need to be in those upper echelons. And we just don't have that trainer. We do have that staff member, though, who just retired, and I will look to replace, and I think that's the biggest, best, strongest area we could get that trainer. Because if we're going to rotate, if we're going to alternate, Uni can handle the physical and mental training very well. Development's only going to be so good for some of the athletes, and that's why we want the early bloomers, so that they could all be like Uni and make some progress. Uni is not rocking it. She is not dominating the junior ranks. This is not like years past where you're building a champion out of one athlete and everybody else struggles. Uni as well struggles. So we're going to have our struggles. This is not going to be easy. This is a very different project this year, but I'm liking that we're getting diversity of working with different athletes and not just relying on one superstar and not being deeply in the red still in year 2 or 3. But anyway, the technical development is lagging behind. So getting a good technical trainer will help. Your early bloomers, like Uni, it'll help them develop and get more competitive more quickly, because the physical and mental is where it needs to be pretty good. But that technical not keeping up, and that new coach we had helps. But getting somebody else where we can continually train there and not just have the one, not just Kissel. If we can be able to train both of them, that would help. That would help a lot. And there's plenty of trainers out there. We've got a couple level 1s. We do have a level 2 in the U.S. Again, geography matters. When you have a low reputation, we have a very low reputation, and there's plenty of trainers. My hope is we're going to be able to get after one of these U.S.-based level 3s, which it looks like there's 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of them. There's got to be one of those 5. Fingers crossed. Very hopeful that one of those 5 will be interested. However, November 30th is not the time to make that signing. We're going to have to get into January before they are going to be willing to sign. It's really weird that there's kind of a just off-season period where none of them are willing to take a new job during that period, and we're in that period now. So we're going to have to sit on our hands for a little bit with the staff we have for the next couple of months, and then fingers crossed be able to get one of those 5 signed, or at the very least a decent one in the level 2 category. And then of course we want them to be strong tactically, so that will limit those options, and we may not get what we want. So it is time to get the comparison, and the comparison is footwork's a little behind for uni, but otherwise we did get to 11s and 12s, so the physical's almost there. The mental is just about there. That's 12s at a 14, so it's almost a 13 average. Like one more point will make it. But the composure, killer instinct, and fighting spirit's not there. It's still stationary at probably where it started, which is an 8. The reason being, a lot of those come through. You make a deep run in a tournament for the first time. You see growth, but it's not in the low level tournaments. It's in something higher, a little more competitive. That can happen in the juniors, not just the seniors, but it doesn't happen at the lowest level of the juniors. There isn't that pressure, and then overcoming that pressure to make you thrilled. By the way, the morale's a little bit low right now just because of the goals set, and I tried to set the goals a little more realistically and low, and settling for 50 when she wants to be top 30 is not making her overly pleased. Interesting to see, though, that we have a big disparity in how she performs on various courts. And we did not get to an 8, by the way. I mean, our top ones are an 8, but that's definitely got to be an average of just a 7. So uni actually still has a long ways to go. But she's also just 16, so we still have this year and the next year in the juniors. And will she still have the year after at 18, or will that push her into the seniors? Hard to say, but we've got at least 2 years left in juniors. Tanaway, meanwhile, actually has a 10 for backhand, a little bit bigger, better, stronger there. 9 for timing. Her drop shot's only a 3, though, and she does have 4s and 5s, and that backhand consistency. With a backhand of 10, but a consistency of 4, she needs to work on that, but she'll have Kissel this year, so that is something we can focus on. But as for that physical development, she didn't get very far. She's only even not quite a 9 for her average, and the mental didn't do that well either, despite having a year, almost an entire year. It was the end of January, almost an entire year. That's 10 months so far, working with myself as her coach. All we really did was successfully retrain her tactic and pick up a little bit. That's far from good. But again, with standard progress track, it's going to be a while before she takes off. So she went from total in the gutter to at least competitive, but she's just not developing very rapidly. Hence I think we need to focus back on uni this year. So with the swap over and one less staff member, this is how the training assignments are going to look for this year. So uni, absolute zero progress is going to happen when it comes from Myers, but we're going to be back into a strong physical and technical mental training development phase. As for Tanaway, we'll be focusing a little bit more on either the mental or the technical this year. We're definitely going to avoid game plan training, and at least she gets a star and a half out of Myers for physical, but it's not something we are going to be focusing on at all. As for registrations, I've put Tanaway into nothing but 60 level tournaments. I think the jump all the way to 100 might be a little difficult for her, as she was just starting to get competitive at the 30s, where Uni had won a few 30 level tournaments. For Uni, though, where we spent all last year in the 100s, we tried the 200s twice and lost in the first round, got hammered. So this year, 200s will be the focus. Again, graduating class, people moving up kind of naturally. That older group is not there, so naturally we just kind of filter our way up. I'm going to open the season with a 100 and then play a 200, another 200, and another 200. So we got a few 200s in a row. I'll go back to a 100 as a just in case with another 200. And actually, at the moment, our ranking does not qualify us for the 300 level tournaments. We're almost in. So we'll have to see how this first phase goes and how competitive we are with those 200s, and if those 100s are particularly easy, and see if our ranking goes up at all. And if it does, then we might be working our way into those 300 level tournaments, at least occasionally. But I do think we'll be kind of hovering between the 2 and 300s for Uni this season. Uni's got new sponsors this year. The primary source of income, though, for about 40K is still just 20 tournaments for the year. So as long as she stays healthy, we should easily get that. The bonuses, though, the ranking is to get into the senior ranks, and I don't think that's going to happen with Uni at all this year. We have no objective to get in that direction. So it's 2K, but I'm very much going to write that one off right now. We'll focus on the juniors. Okay, we're into new territory. We've got a 300 level tournament that is now looking, so we're outside of the ranking we need for it, but they're giving us a wild card because not everybody who was inside the ranking has applied. They have vacancies remaining, and we seem to be just below that threshold. So we're going to get a wild card invite. Let's test our mettle and see how we can perform in a 300. Can we get out of the first round, or is it going to not make much sense for us to be there to participate? Uni opening with a 100 level tournament. Her rank is a bit high for that one, so she actually comes in comfortably as the 1 seed. But that doesn't mean she's necessarily going to win it, but should. Both athletes are through the first 2 rounds. Quarterfinals as well, so both of them will at least make a semifinal in their first tournament of the year. A little bit tougher matchup here, though, with the 128th ranked 8 seed. Definitely the toughest we'll have been up against so far. And Uni loses handily. Oof, not even close. They didn't even play that many points. Uni had a rough day. Could not find winners. Didn't make mistakes, but neither did the opponent. So the other opponent probably had some better technicals than Uni. Tanaway also losing in the semis. But hey, it's a semifinal run for both of them to open the season. I'll take that. But again, for Uni, that was only a 100 level. Uni's second tournament of the year. I'm not even sure why I accepted this wild card, especially at this point. I'd like to have her train a little bit. We are going to be in the first junior slam of the year. It's mandatory based on her rank, and I think I might have overloaded her schedule a little bit because I've accepted 2 wild cards plus the mandatory for the Grand Slam. Second round clash with the 79th ranked potential. Let's see how we fare there. First round should be comfortable, though we lost to this player the only other time we played. We beat her this time, 6-3, 7-5. Tanaway gets through the first round. Is she in the same tournament, or is it a different 100 level? She got a wild card, and we accepted, so this is that wild card. In fact, I accepted 2 wild cards. Are they both here? No, they're at separate locations. So separate. Oh, right. Uni's at the 200. That's a 100. I got it. We do lose to Isakova, though, so the ranked 1 has knocked us off. She's a little bit below us in the rankings, and Uni not able to do the job. So fairly early exit. Definitely more winners this time. Unforced errors a little bit high for how we play. And the forced errors is where she got us. Tanaway also out in the second round, so they both go out in the second round in these little bit higher level tournaments. Not the greatest start to this season, but it really only needs to be about a third round performance for the both of them to be successful, right? 2-1 is good. Another 200 this week, and Uni is the 2 seed this time. How will she perform? Well, she's at least through the first round, so was Tanaue. Tanaue through the second round, so she's doing pretty well with the 60s so far. After winning the second round, Tanaue just lost her quarterfinal match. But again, that's right where you need to be. 2 wins and then a loss. If Tanaue can be consistent with that, she's headed the right direction this season. Should be able to maintain form, should be able to maintain morale, and if you occasionally push deeper, that's great. That'll help her ranking. For now, we're into the quarterfinal for Uni against the 139th ranked Chinese player we've beaten once before, 6-1, 6-2 on this one. Definitely behind on the winners, but aces were good. Incredibly clean match, just 9 unforced errors and just 7 forced errors. That is incredible. They only played 109, but that is a really, really good performance right there. We only lost 3 games. So semifinal number 1 was 2 unseeded players, and the 184th ranked junior will go to the final. Our semi is the 2nd and 3rd seed, so very different, and their ranking is just 2 spots apart from each other. We are 56. The Canadian Celebrini is 58th, which makes her probably the favorite. I think based on last season, what we were seeing a lot of was our ranking was such because we were playing at a slightly lower level and consistently making deeper runs, securing a certain amount of points. That if you're playing at a higher level against better opposition, you're not making deep runs and therefore securing a little bit less in points. So it's good for our point haul and our ranking to be in those lower level stuff, but the competition was a little bit weaker. We're playing against somebody who's equally ranked, meaning probably a little bit better. However, the tactical advice says that it's very close and we are just slightly ahead. So maybe, just maybe, it is a semifinal, but let's go ahead and take the kind of the metered run with the potential to jump in. We lose the opening game, though. We're troubled, she's thrilled, so her mentality is a little bit better. We're a little ahead on stamina, but not significantly where it's going to make any sort of difference. 3 games all early on, but we're definitely on the back foot. They both seem to be holding serve. We nearly lost that one, but we do draw level, and then she comfortably takes that one. And then we do finally get the break, and it costs us the set because it was in that must-win territory. And we're down 1-3. Yeah, it's not looking good today. Down 1-4. 2-4, 3-4. Okay, we finally break her. That's first time today, but there you go. We're out. 4-6, 3-6. Kept it on the closer side, but that's still, we were 15 points behind at the end. 43% overall. Not very close. She was well ahead on the winners, plus 17 in that. The unforced errors, we kept it clean, but so did she. We were only plus 3. The forced errors, not bad. That still ended up being -1. So we were level in the error department and well behind in the total winners. And that's just that lack of technical development that we just don't really have a way to remedy. Kissel helped last season, but it took an entire year to get just a little bit of development in that department. I did notice one thing, though, is Uni's forehand is starting to take off and actually just reached a level 9. It's the first technical skill to be a level 9, and you can see that for our tactic, forehand matters. Here's why we're seeing that. Even though I am not doing all these trainings, there are times where we are doing one of these and a forehand training is mixed in to the physical, and it develops. It develops at a much better rate. So we've gotten a sneaky way to at least develop the forehand of our athletes. It's not enough to pick up the rest of the technicals. So a few weeks into the season, here's how their ranking is progressing. Tanaue, 170. That's a little above her 178 that she started with. So if we can stay consistent and score that kind of points, at least early in the season, she'll maintain. We already noticed last year, though, that others outdevelop her, and she'll slip down later in the season. that might happen more so. That might be more pronounced this year, as I'm working with Uni this season and Kissel's the one working with Dunaway. But as for Uni, so far so good. We're up to 50th, which was her target for the year. So we're on track. She does have a number of other minor goals as well that we'll have to watch out for, like making it into a slam second round, I think. Both players got wild cards for higher level tournaments. Tanaway entered her first ever 200. She was out in the first round. Uni got a wild card for a 300 level tournament. This will be her first attempt there. Unfortunately, Brachescu, the 11th ranked junior and second seeded player at this tournament, is who we have drawn to play against. Literally only gets one spot harder than that one. It's going to be a tough match. It's going to be a great performance. It's not going to be a great performance. I don't see us winning this. We did take a set, and we actually nearly took the match, so that's nice to see. We were 50-50. We were 1 point behind. 6 double faults, though. That doesn't help. 55 winners. Where did that come from? Not very clean, but they did play 200 points. And -7 on the 4 stairs. Pretty close. Pretty close for Uni. So our first foray into the 300s didn't go great, but it was also a really tough draw, and not too bad. All in all, I think Uni's off to a good start for the year, and it looks like Tanaway's off to a good start for the year as well. I'll take that. But it's almost time. We're at the end of January. We are going to be opening the next episode trying to find a new staff member. I think we're into the window for that. Maybe I'll wait one more week. But we should have our first junior slam coming up as well. So I'm excited for that one. But expectations are very low. We're 50th in the rankings. On paper, if you've got 64, anybody outside of the top 32 is a favorite to lose their first round match. So Uni, expectations. We'll be humble. We'll be lucky if we get out of the first round. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.